Okay, guys, I'm back, and thank you so much for joining in. And just for the fact that the whole world now has a 15-second attention span, thanks to social media, I just want to say one of the most important things right at the beginning, and that is the difference between abstinence and sobriety. Abstinence is where you take something out. Sobriety is where you also add something in, and in my opinion, that means 12-step program, working with a sponsor, doing the steps, and helping to carry the message to others, which is the 10th step. So if you are someone who is wanting to go to the next level after having taken some stuff out, and it's probably you feel grouchy and stuff like that, believe me, the program is the medicine for those kind of feelings. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So this segment 2, is where I want to just express the pluses and minuses and what it's done for me to take 93 days off of alcohol and cannabis. So, you know, the very first thing that I always notice is that my energy level goes through the roof. I mean, I can't even begin to explain like how much more energy I suddenly have. And that can be good and that can be bad. In the third segment, I'm going to talk about how it works and how all the little things that I do to make it successful. But one of those, just in advance, is that I cut my caffeine in half, because I can't be drinking 4 cups of coffee in the morning. And I mean, it's just like you're like insane. So energy levels go through the roof. The next thing I notice is that my self-esteem goes through the roof. Like my self-esteem rises immeasurably in the first week, and just this feeling of being in control of yourself and your life, and the feeling that you can accomplish anything, right? It just rises, and your confidence and just this, you just feel like, oh, you feel like the man. You feel like right after a workout, you feel pumped, spiritually pumped. And that's extremely noticeable. The next thing, let's talk about a couple negatives. Lack of sleep, right? Because, you know, I should never say you've been, I've been drinking, smoking, and passing out, right? Just for a little qualifier, I don't smoke pot that much anymore, but anyway, I always group it in because it's definitely my own true love. But the thing is, you used to going to sleep like passing out. You know, you're not like, you don't know how to just lay there and like meditate and calmly relax and then like fall asleep and get like, you know, a good, really restful night's sleep. So right at the beginning, like there's some restlessness there, and that's fine, that's normal. And you get up in the middle of the night and your mind's popping. So that's when I write in my journal and maybe come up with some new ideas. And, you know, maybe just walk around the block at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, that's fine. So you got lack of sleep, but your self-esteem is rising up, and you're getting all your tasks done, right? Because you got all this energy and you're getting all your tasks done. The next thing you notice that I notice is that I lose weight right away. I mean, because I'm not drinking, you know, 6 to 8 cans of beer a night. And, you know, we all know that after you drink some beers, you know, the greatest thing in the world is a slice of pizza or a burger or something. So I'm not eating the shitty food, and I'm not getting all the calories from the beer either. So right away, I'm losing like a few pounds. The next thing I'll notice is that when I go to the gym, I mean, I'm getting these Olympian workouts. Suddenly, I have so much energy in the gym that I have to kind of slow my, like, man, you're gonna be so sore, you know, you need to slow it down a little bit. So I'm getting these great workouts, I'm losing some weight. Another thing is, so what I did this time was I just took like $12 a day, right? And I put it in an envelope. Because that's what a 6-pack, I mean, you're lucky to get a decent beer for less than $10 a 6-pack, at least where I live. So yeah, put that away in an envelope. So now you're saving a little bit of side cash, right? So I'm about to buy a new surfboard. And yeah, so you're saving money, you're losing weight, you are raising your self-esteem, and things are really going great on the plus side. So it's not fair if we don't talk about some of the negative side, right? So I can be really short-tempered, okay? I can definitely, get grouchy, okay? And I have to be really, really aware of that. Like I become sensitive a little bit in the first couple weeks. So you're having a little bit of ups and downs. And then emotionally, okay? I truly feel that marijuana, cannabis, pot, weed, pakalolo, withdrawal is very emotional, okay? I mean, it's like you feel depressed, then you feel super excited, and then, you're just going through all this shit. That's a tough one to withdraw from, by the way. I think tougher than alcohol. So you're going through some ups and downs, so it's really important to just focus on the positive and just keep reminding yourself, even if it's every 5 minutes, about how much this is benefiting you and how good you feel most of the time and how glad you are that you're doing it, and then focus on all the things that you wanted to accomplish, as a reason, as like probably your main reason for doing it to begin with, right? So going through these ups and downs emotionally, but all this plus side. So just keep reminding myself of the plus side. Then, so I always have a day counter. I have an app on my phone. Then every day I'm looking at the day counter. I'm like, wow, 7 days. It's been a whole week without anything. This is wow. And then I just take a minute, and this wow, And so I said in the beginning in my introduction that drugs and alcohol become almost like a blanket or a cap over your spiritual connection with the universe, okay? It's not that things can't get through it, but it's filtering through this thing. When you take that off, suddenly messaging is just flowing through me. I mean, I'm getting like just really detailed visualizations and messaging, and so I'm the type of person who has always had a journal. So I'll just grab that book and I'll just be like writing down a quote, or maybe it turns out to be a whole poem, or maybe it's just like a couple pages of just my thoughts, just like if I were talking to someone, but instead I'm just writing it down in the book. And I have a mountain of these things, and one day I'm going to compile them all, and I am actually going to put out a couple of books. So I have a few subjects that I want to put stuff out on, but sobriety is certainly one of them. And so, furthermore, my skin starts to clear up. The color, the whiteness of my eyes starts to clear up to become whiter, right? So I'm looking brighter, okay? I'm looking brighter, I'm feeling better, I'm saving money, I'm visualizing new courses in life, right? I'm writing them out, I'm creating a game plan for myself. Okay, it's one thing to just get off the junk, okay? And a lot of people need to do that because the junk is killing them. But if you're getting off the junk so you can clear your mind and your spirit enough to create new ideas, then you need to do that, right? You need to actually write it out and actually have this sort of game plan, a blueprint of what it is you want to do for the next phase of your life. And that's kind of at least half of why I've always done this. The other half is that I just don't want to go over the edge and be totally screwed up, right? I don't want to be a guy who, underperformed all his life because he was loaded all the time. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, okay? I mean, I love to party, but I don't want to be a guy who achieved less because he couldn't discipline himself. I mean, that's horrible. I don't want that identity. So yeah, so all these things are happening in the positive. On the negative, again, you can be grouchy and stuff like that. So one thing that I do, and again, I'll give a little spoiler alert for the third segment, is that I try to take a week off from work. If I'm working for someone else at that time, I try to take a week off. So I'll schedule this. Okay, I'm gonna do 30-day challenge of alcohol abstinence, right? That's the most common thing right now. A lot of people have been doing that recently. And the first week I'm gonna take off from work, okay? Because I'm gonna be a grouchy guy, And the last thing I want to do is like lose my job because of it. And I don't know, maybe I need to lose my job. Maybe that's part of the problem. But, you know, most of the time people don't really want to lose their job in that way. Okay, maybe you need to change your job, but you don't want to like have a blowout argument with somebody because you're like 4 days sober, you know. And it happens. It has happened to me. I'll be honest, it's happened to me a couple times, and that's okay. But at the same time now, at this point, I know that there's a potential for that. So I really set myself up to sort of pull myself out of society and you know, be able to focus as much as I can on structuring new ideas. Other positives, right? Kindness. Okay, so I'm so clear-headed that I'm not missing any opportunities, you know, to help someone with something, with a door, or you know, like a friend calls and like I have the energy, you know, it's not like he called and said, hey, I got my pipe broke in my apartment, but I can't help him because I'm like 8 beers into it, and like, you know, I'm like, dude, how about tomorrow, you know? No, I'm like so on point with everybody, right? Somebody's birthday came up, I took time to send a message, okay? Like stuff like that starts happening because you're really, really clear-headed. And I love that. That's one of my favorite parts. So going through all these ups and downs, and so this time I was doing a 30-day challenge. That's how this whole thing began. I was doing a 30-day challenge. I was going to take out alcohol, and I hadn't smoked much weed in a while, but you know, I had been kind of binging. What I'll do with weed is like I'll do like a whole weekend, and like let's say some friends are in town or I'm going somewhere, and so I'll just kind of allow myself for like that 3 or 4 days to just smoke out, and then I'll put it away and not smoke for who knows, sometimes years, and then so I kind of go like that. So I got to like 30 days and hadn't had any alcohol, and I said to myself, you know, I feel so amazing, and like things are happening for me, and I also have some challenges right now. I mean, we're all post-COVID, and I don't know about you, but you know, all 3 of my small businesses got totally disrupted because of COVID. You know, 2 of them shut down completely, and I moved to a new. Not only did I move to a new city, but like I moved to an island, like 10-hour flight away from where I was living. So. Yeah, so some of that is self-inflicted, but you know, so anyway, I'm going through the not struggles, but you know, the steps of creating a new life for myself. So there's been some, you know, some days are better than others, and so I'm at 30 days, and I'm like, I'm getting all this stuff done. I feel amazing. You know, my skin's cleared up, my eyes look clearer. Like, I'm gonna do another 30 days. I'm just gonna do a back-to-back 30-day challenge. And so there were times in the middle of that where I was doing and I'll probably add some of these in here, I was doing voice recordings almost every day. And one thing I said was, somewhere in the middle, around 45 days or so, is when I was really kind of feeling it. And I was like kind of feeling a little bit not so happy about it on one particular day. And I was saying that, you know, the gift of having a few drinks at night, or maybe, you know, taking a weekend and party, is that it really, really takes the pressure off of life, right? It takes the edge off of life. And these things have a really positive, there's a reason why we have this stuff, okay? There's a reason why, for instance, this weed grows naturally in the ground, okay? If it's used in a really mature and healthy, if you will, way, these things have enormous upsides, right? And so that's, you know, I'm not arguing that these things are evil and no one should do it. It's not even the case. My whole thing is about balancing it out so that you get the benefits without it like destroying your life or creating, you know, problems. And so around day 45, I was having these thoughts of like, man, I just need a couple beers so bad right now, you know, but you know, that passes pretty quickly. I look at my day counter, I'm like, 45 days, wow, I can't believe it, you know, and then you start to feel, and then you're like looking at the list of things you got to do that day, and you're like, I don't even have time for it, I'm busy today anyway. And by the end of the day, you don't even think about it again for days, right? So I was having these ups and downs, but I got to day 60, and again, and I was talking to one of my best friends who is alcohol sober, which if you want to, sort of go in there with a scalpel and take certain things out, that's awesome too, right? So take out what your biggest problem is for sure. And alcohol to me is the most destructive one. I mean, not that many people smoke some weed and go out and, wreck their car and kill 6 people. It's like this booze, man, is so freaking powerful. And if you live in a city where you have to drive, I mean, it's just such a bad combination, driving and drinking. So anyway, this friend of mine has been more than a couple of years without alcohol, and he's so insanely supportive. So I was talking to him, and he was like, yeah, why do you ever need it again, let alone it's only been 60 days, like your body's just starting to adjust. Just, take a little more time. Don't set a day. Don't say I'm going to do 30 more or something, but I did. So I decided I'm going to do 90 days. Okay, so I got to 90 days on Monday. Today is Thursday, and I fly to New York tomorrow, Friday, for a huge modeling job. And this is some of the successes of this past 90 days, right? Like, my God, I've been putting myself out business-wise, and things are growing. Post-COVID, this needed to be done. So, but I was surfing with my best friend in Hawaii here, and he said, "Hey, how's that sobriety thing going?" And I said, "Dude, today is 90 days. Can you fucking believe it?" And this is a guy that when I first moved here, again, it was COVID, and this was my hideout. I did a 14-day quarantine, and when I got out of there, there was nobody here except for the locals. And so all we did was hung at the beach and played volleyball and went surfing and drank seltzers and beers. And, I basically took a year off. So, he's like, how's that sobriety thing going? I'm like, man, I just feel amazing. And he's like, and he belongs to this club, and that's where we launch when we go surf. And he's like, well, all right, then we're having some beers at the club after, right? And I'm like, oh, good friend. I'm like, you want me to drink on the last day? Today's day 90, right? So he's like, oh man, he's like, you gotta do it like that? You gotta do the full 90? I'm like, yeah, after doing 89 3/4, I'm not gonna drink today. He's like, okay, I get it. But there's the power of being in control of your life right there, which is the hugest plus. So now I set myself up. I said, okay, I did 30 consecutive 30-day challenges, and today, Thursday, is day 93. So there's 30, there's 9, there's 3, there's all these 3s in there, right? All these divisors, and if you were go to your spiritual chart and run your numbers, oh, this is a miracle of some sort and a celebration, right? It's a celebration. But guess what? I feel so good today. And it's Thursday football, right? It's the beginning of football season. It's a really good Thursday game. And my buddies are going to drink and watch the game. My surfing buddy bought an 80-inch TV. And so it's going to be probably a little party with, 10 or so of my friends here. And guess what? I'm not going. I don't want to. I feel great, and I don't know where it's going to end. I do know that it will end at some point, but it's not just going to be on a random day for a 1 p.m. football game when I've got so much to do, especially because I'm leaving tomorrow. So the point is, I feel great. I'm so grateful for having done 93 days. There are triple the positives to the negatives, okay? There are a few negatives, and and mainly it's just stress relief, right? And so that's what I'm going to talk about in the third segment, is all these little tools and techniques that I use because you have to reorganize how, your modus operandi of your human existence has to be reorganized. And how you relax and de-stress is a huge part of that, as you know, I'm sure. So anyway, this is segment 2, and I'm grateful, day 93, and yeah, let's move on to segment 3.